Welcome to the Kentucky X-Files, Season 2, with your hosts Dennis Mays, Tyler Stewart, and Josh Gibbs. Don't forget to subscribe to us on YouTube, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts, so you never miss an episode. Now, on to our show.
Crouched down. For me, at first, I thought it was just a footage thing.
I thought it was a bear. You can tell the difference between a small, spindly leg creature and something with a larger foot. And it was big. Whenever it was, ran straight down at us and just stopped. It was pitch black. Couldn't see it.
And most of these witnesses have come close to these things. Could have been killed.
It was beating on the side of the house. I didn't hit the side of the house as it went by.
Now, when it stood up, that's when I knew it was a dog.
I needed someone to have pure faith in a higher power at that moment, and nobody fucking did.
Welcome back, guys, to your Kentucky X-Files. His name's T.
T. Yeah, we're gonna call him T and see what.
What is this thing? Like, I'm interested on the name. The name alone, I've never heard this before.
It was Ohio Devil Monkey is what the title of the email was, and I was like, dude, I gotta know.
Yeah, I've never heard that before. I wonder.
Yeah, I'm gonna start looking it up right now.
Yeah.
I hope the listeners out there comment if you've heard this cryptid before.
Yeah, I'm excited. Let's give him a call. Let's see what he has to say.
Okay.
All right, here we go. Calling T. Here we go. Boop, boop, beep, boop, beep, boop, beep, boop. Oh, there he is.
Oh.
All right. Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, T. Sorry we've had such trouble getting in touch with you. Just schedules and whatnot.
Well, you know how it is. Everyone's working their life away every day.
Oh yeah. I think I saw something floating around the internet today that said it was something along the lines of work 8 hours and sleep 8 hours, and you got all this extra time to do stuff. I'm like, man, your math is way off.
Right.
Like, who the
It's
hell
more
works
like
8?
work 12, sleep 4.
Right. So yeah, I was telling the guys here that you had some interesting stuff in your email, and the title of your email was what got me so interested. The Ohio Devil Monkey.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, it's kind of like what got me into the whole listening to podcasts and stuff was my experience. I mean, so my family, my dad grew up around Loveland, which had obviously the infamous Frogman.
Yeah.
Which every year gets podcasts made about it, and growing up, Dad always made fun of it because he grew up on the river.
Right.
Played in the river every day of his life. They were all poor, so the best way for a poor country kid to have fun is a river.
That makes sense.
So he always used to make fun of that stuff. You know, he was always an outdoors guy. Never saw anything.
I've never looked into the Frogman myself. I'm not very versed in what that's all about.
Oh, you know, the usual giant frog man, half frog, half man.
All right, fair enough.
Self-explanatory.
Yeah,
but which half is which?
Were frog? He turns into a man. It's like half.
Yeah, like, trying to remember what they said. It was actually kind of creepier than that. It was like the size of like a toddler, but it ran around on hind legs.
Oh wow! Okay.
People would see orbs and stuff around them too.
No kidding.
Oh.
Wow.
Yeah, a cop shot at it one time.
Really?
What?
Yeah, one of the Loveland cops, right? On the bridge you drive over every time you go into Loveland, the cop said he saw it out there and got out of his car, and it moved real quick towards him, and he panicked and he pulled they were using revolvers out at the time and emptied his whole gun at it.
Oh my God.
Oh my.
I am way uneducated on this subject. I got to look into this. That's amazing.
Yeah.
I don't blame him for shooting at it.
Yeah, we grew up laughing at it because where my folks eventually moved to isn't that far from Loveland. I still live maybe where I'm at now that I'm out of my folks' house. I'm still only like maybe an hour's drive from Loveland.
Yeah.
And when I visit my folks, they're a whole 5 minutes up the road from Loveland.
Okay. So you heard some kind of interesting sounds up there, you were saying?
Yeah, I mean, so this stuff's been going on for as long as I can remember.
Okay.
And you ask anyone out here in rural Ohio, like once you hit Adams County and stuff,
yeah,
people don't talk about Bigfoot as much. I mean, yeah, there's Bigfoot sightings and stuff like that.
Right.
You can hear about them online and stuff like that, on podcasts and stuff. People from Ohio talk about Bigfoot. But if you actually sit down and ask people, like out in Adams County, Owensville, that kind of stuff, a lot of it's more about these. I've only seen a few podcasts, and people call them devil monkeys, for lack of a better term.
Okay.
They're like baboons on steroids.
No kidding.
And I remember growing up, we lived, I don't know if I want to say the exact town, but it'll be fine, Goshen.
Okay.
And Goshen's a little, when I was a kid, it was more rural than it is now.
Right.
We've had a lot of grow up in the areas on the fringes, but it's definitely really rural still all around it, especially when you go off of the out west a little bit further and you get closer to like Owensville and Batavia. It all turns into farmland.
Yeah.
And we got a big state park, Stone Lick State Park off to one side and all that stuff. Really wooded.
Okay.
And you would hear on a once, twice a week basis monkey sounds. Like when I was a kid, they were just wood sounds, but you know, now when I go visit, I can still hear them. Not as often.
No.
But every now and then. And it's ape sounds. It sounds like something right out of National Geographic.
No shit. Just coming from the woods, or, I mean...
Yeah. I mean, the times I've been out hunting out there in different areas, like just off of my back porch, I can hear hoots and chittering and
wow, no
whoops
shit.
and all kinds of stuff.
That's pretty interesting. I mean, I know the area you're talking about. I have friends that live there around that area, and I know just driving up there to visit, it's just there's woods everywhere. Even though it has, I mean, it's definitely progressed. You know, I want to say like more modern now than it is rural, but I'd go back through there, and it's like, you know, the farther back you get, the more and more dense it gets, and I honestly never even thought of it. Like I never even put two and two together that anything would even be maybe going on up there. You know what I mean? That's pretty interesting.
Yeah, I mean, so where I lived, I mean, if you can cut this part out, that'd be great.
Yeah, but, we won't leave anything in.
You can look it up. It has a creek that runs around the back side of it. Now, we own, like, my parents own 2.5 acres there. And about only an acre of it's been cleared. The rest of it's woods. Okay. And then you go over the bottom into another property. And, of course, when I was a kid, I didn't care whose property I was on. It was just woods. It was just the woods.
Yeah.
But you can hit that creek bed, and you can follow the creek bed behind my house all the way out to like 48 without seeing a house, without having to cross a yard, nothing.
Yeah.
You're just in the woods in a creek bottom. Then you can turn around, you can do the other thing, go all the way out to Goshen Road. You'll have to cross Goshen Road, but you can do that through a big storm drain under the road and keep going out the other way. And I've walked that way several hours and not come out and not hit someone's property that was cleared.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, there's huge stretches of it that are wooded and connected.
So it's definitely it's dense enough to hide something. I mean, it looks that way at least whenever I'm up there, you know.
Yeah, it really doesn't clear out at all until you hit the main road, the main drag through there.
Yeah, it's pretty wild, man. Yeah. Definitely wild. And the sounds, that's the thing that's getting me, is like all the sounds you're describing. I've heard other places talk about these same types of sounds and whatnot, but never somewhere this close to home, to be honest.
Yeah, it's honestly really creepy. I can't think of a time where I've had them happen during daylight hours. It's always been at night.
No kidding.
Yeah, we'll be out having a fire pit or something, and you'll hear them kick off. It's almost like the same way coyotes do. You won't hear them for days, and it's all quiet, and all of a sudden it's just like bam, and you'll hear multiple all going back and forth, and then they just die out after. It's like you flip a switch, like something got too close to them or something, and they all just quit, and you don't hear them the rest of the night.
Okay. So in your original email, it said that there was a possible encounter.
There's been 3 encounters where I've seen them.
You've seen them.
Yeah.
Okay.
You've seen multiple?
One time was multiple. The other 2 times were single.
Okay, so we're talking about like a super baboon, a Dinopithecus is basically what comes to mind when I think of it.
Yeah.
So you're seeing this thing? You saw this out there?
Yes. One time I saw it right down my street. Literally, if I'm visiting my folks' house, I could walk out the front porch and I could walk to the property that I saw them on in 5 minutes.
Wow. What were they? I mean, what was the behavior? What were they doing?
Well, the first time I saw it, I was young. I was I think I was 12 at the time.
Yeah.
And I was still deer hunting with my dad, and it was deer season. And Dad is old school when it comes to deer hunting. He likes to do muzzle loading, or he'll do stick and string like longbow hunting.
Okay.
And he's spot and stalk. He'll walk the woods.
Okay.
And go after them. And of course, I was such a young kid that he didn't really trust me to be able to do that and keep quiet and actually have a successful deer hunt.
Okay.
And so he just had me sit against the base of this big tree. Now, the property was owned by this old lady at the time named, she's passed on now, has been for years and years.
Yeah.
But she would leave, it was like 95 acres she owned back there. It was all wooded. But what she did was she leased parts of it off to the local farmers. And so they had a field out there cut out, and they raised corn and soybean in it.
Okay.
And so Dad just sat me at the base of this tree with a 12 gauge with slugs in it, just to watch the one side of the field. He went off on the other side of the field, not directly across from him, obviously, in case I shot at something, so I didn't shoot him on accident.
Yeah.
But the other edge of the field off on my left-hand side, and he was off spot stalking. And he was hoping that him walking out there, even if he wasn't successful, he'd scare something up and run it out in front of me. And that's what he did, but it wasn't deer that came out. He ran out one of them things.
Okay.
So it broke the wood line probably 30 yards, 40 yards from me.
Yeah.
And I mean, it was hauling. Kind of like doing that. Like if you ever get on National Geographic and look at the way they run on all fours, they kind of do like this almost kangaroo-like hopping kind of thing off of their front legs when they're really, really hauling.
Right.
And it just streaked out in front of me. But even as fast as it was going, it was like obvious to see what it was. And so it passed from my left to my right, facing out onto the field. And it got almost to the other edge of the field. And I saw it stop, stand up on its hind legs, and twisted its hips and looked back the direction my dad was. I don't think it ever realized I was there, because we had a shooting lane kind of cut.
Yeah.
About 2 foot wide, and I was like about 3-4 foot in to the woods. And the honeysuckle that was there, that was all dead, obviously, and down because of the wintertime. But you still couldn't see me in it, and the wind wasn't good for it. So I don't think it ever even realized I was there.
Oh.
But it just stood up on its hind legs, twisted around, looked back where my dad was, and dropped back on all fours and booked it into the woods on the other side. And that was the last I saw of it at that time.
So what the hell goes through your head seeing this?
I mean, to be honest, I didn't. I mean, shit. With that one, I was just kind of like stunned.
Yeah.
But my first thought really was like, when I saw it running on all fours, I thought that was like a weird dog, or a hurt dog or something like that have been scared out. And then when I got close, I realized, holy shit. Because even as like a kid of like 12 or 13, you've seen pictures and videos of like baboons and monkeys.
Right.
And I literally thought, like, that's a fucking baboon. Excuse my language. But I was like, that's a freaking baboon.
Right.
And I was so young, I don't think it registered in my head, like, it being oversized at all. Because I don't think I really had a good gauge at that age for, like, how big or how small something like that's supposed to be.
Yeah.
Because we didn't do a lot of that kind of stuff because of money constraints going to, like, the zoo or anything like that. So I had no idea, no picture in my head for how big or how small a baboon's supposed to be. So to me, I'm just like, that's a freaking monkey in Ohio.
Yeah. Yeah, I couldn't imagine seeing it myself. Like, I don't even know what I'd begin to think. Like, holy shit, am I actually seeing this?
Yeah, that's kind of where I was. I was like, what in the world? And then a few hours later, my dad came up and was like, "You see anything?" And I told him what I saw, and Dad didn't believe me. I'm sure he thought it was, a German Shepherd or something like that was injured or limping, because he didn't make the joke, well, why didn't you shoot it then?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I didn't even think about it.
Oh, yeah, I can imagine. I know several people have said that, where they're so stunned by what the hell they're looking at that the thought of actually just shooting doesn't even cross their mind. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I was just like, I just kind of like watched it run by. To be honest, I was kind of just like, that's really cool. Like, I didn't have the whole cryptid thing people talk about. I guess maybe if I had seen like a frickin' 9 foot tall Bigfoot run out, there would have been a lot more fear involved. But to me, it just looked like an animal. And I was like, that's crazy. There's some nut job that's got a frickin' baboon that's gotten loose and is just running around.
All right. I mean, people own tigers and all kinds of shit. I know. There's a guy over there not too far from us that owns bears. I mean,
well, there's that guy up here just a little while ago turned all of his exotic animals loose, and the cops had to kill all of them.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those things where people don't think this is happening. It's happening. Wild animals are, especially exotic animals, are being purchased, every year. It's a big money industry, really. So I don't know. Yeah. It's pretty wild. When coming back around, I mean, you saw this. How do you get from that sighting to, dude, is this the dog man? How do you go from one to the other? What happened? Like, what did you find out, or did you look into it after it happened?
Well, after that first one, I went years and years and didn't see one again.
No.
My second encounter, and this is the one where I was kind of being like quiet about it, was because I was at work when I saw the other one doing my job.
Yeah.
And there's some things involved that, according to my job, I probably technically shouldn't have been doing, but I was doing for my safety.
Okay.
So I guess I'll just go into like the whole thing of what happened.
All right.
So for my job, we have an on-call system. We have nights where we're on call for emergencies.
All right.
We locate utilities. We're the 811 people. I'm sure you've heard the radio ads and stuff.
Sure.
So we had over in Loveland. I'm trying. Gosh, what's the name of the road? That's gonna bug me. I'll send you a text or something with. I'll look it up and I'll pin it because I know right where it happened.
Okay.
Exactly. So I'll pin it. But there's a road in and Loveland. If you look up the bar and restaurant Kirby's, it's on the same road as Kirby's. And it's this curvy road that comes up and kind of skirts the outside of Loveland, and you can use it to go to Goshen. Well, at about midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning, I got a call out for a water main break. And there's a road that comes off of that curvy, windy road along the outside of Loveland. That's just kind of like a regular.
Are you talking about Branch Hill, New Guinea?
No, it's not. It's not that far out. It's not Branch Hill. It's the next one in. It crosses the railroad tracks, runs up. The Arrowhead apartments and stuff are on it. It might be Branch Hill. It might turn into Branch Hill. I'm trying to think. So I drove up and down that road so many times for work. They moved my area when I moved, so I'm not in that same area driving the streets every day, or I'd still remember.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But I'll like I said, I'll get on Google Maps and I'll pin down exactly where it was and I'll send it to you. Okay. But anyway, there's this little suburban street that comes off of it, and weirdly enough, there's a park right in there. It's right around where Lake Isabella and stuff is, Lake Isabella Park and all that.
Yeah.
And it's this big kind of stake cut out lake and park. And this neighborhood kicks off right next to it, and it's bordered by it. And running down this windy little gravel driveway going downhill, you got to do like 2 hard cuts to get to the bottom of it. There's a water treatment plant. And one of the water lines there blew up towards the front.
Okay.
And they sent the emergency ticket in for me to go do the work out there and just clear utilities around it, make sure everything was good so that the crew could come out in the morning and get this water line back in action at this water treatment plant.
Okay.
Well, this gravel drive kicks down and comes out into a wider, like, gravel pull-off on each side. And then the whole plant itself is chain link fenced in. But it's woods on all 4 sides. And there's a little creek bed with 2 slanted hills. And it's been artificially flattened. You can kind of tell how, like, they've cut the road into the hill.
Yeah.
And that kind of stuff. So there's this area where they put one of those big, huge, what's the word I'm looking for? When you're a little kid, you play through them, the big tunnels under the road.
Oh, yeah, what, culvert or whatever?
Yeah, giant culvert, like one of those big, like 10-foot tall culverts underneath the roadway where this little creek bed cuts through. And I get out and I'm doing my work, and that involves going and hooking up to certain hookup points on utilities and running them out with a transmitter and receiver.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of focused on that, and I'm following this line that's coming up, and it's a line that's been run out the driveway that's heading towards the neighborhood to connect into the electric main that's running down the neighborhood.
Okay.
And it's kind of following the path of the roadway, and I'm walking alongside of it, and I start hearing noise, and it's like it's, for lack of a better term, it's a huffing sound. It's the same kind of noise that a dog makes when it's, like, really excited. Like, you've got it squeaky toy or something like that. You're pretending like you're going to throw it.
Okay.
And it's not like barking or growling at you. It's just doing that, like, chuffing sound, that sound they make.
Right.
And that's the kind of sound I'm hearing. And I always carry, for late night jobs, I always have a headlamp on. But I have it angled down so I can see what I'm painting. And I click it up, and I'm looking into the woods, and like 15, 20 feet back on the creek bank, and I mean, this is a steep creek bank, and like it drops in real tight. There's a deer that's dead and kind of like crumpled up in like a weird shape, like its back bent backwards, stuff like that.
Okay.
Down in this. And I see that, and that's all I see at first, and I'm like, what on earth is this noise? And there's like just nothing but briars and honeysuckle and stuff like that all grown down almost to like into the creek. And then I can see what I thought originally was like a sapling tree was a black, thin little spindly leg that was standing in the creek. And it was like another 20 foot off of, like 10, 20 foot off of the back side of the deer. So whatever this thing is, it had like backed up is what I think it done. It was originally like on the deer, eating or whatever, and then it heard me pull down in the middle of the night and get out and walk around, and it backed off. And it wasn't happy about backing off. And it was like huffing and huffing. And once I realized it and I'm shining my light in there, I still don't realize what it is. It, for lack of a better term, it mock charges. It runs back out right to where the deer is.
Really?
And it slaps its forelegs down on like the deer's carcass, and it's just like in full regalia right there. And then it like stands up on its back legs, and it makes a scream. You know, it screams at me, and it pulls its lips back, and it's baring its teeth, and it's got big canines, things like that.
Yeah.
And at that point, for my own personal life, I always conceal carry. Like, that's kind of the part I'm nervous about talking about with the job. But,
I understand.
I always conceal carry because I could end up anywhere at like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning on my on-call nights. I could end up downtown on Vine Street.
Yeah.
You know, anywhere. So just for my safety, I pack. So
right. Yeah.
It scared me enough. I drew my gun out, and my gun has a light on it, and I lit it up with the light, and it's 1,000 lumen light off of the end of my gun. So it's way brighter than the headlamp. And I hit it with that, and when I hit it with that, it like just turned tail like on a dime. Like it almost like threw its shoulders and stuff backwards, back over itself, and bolted back off. And I fucking bolted for my truck. You know, I fucking threw myself in my truck, and I drove out of there, and I left. And I called my boss, and I told him that there was like an aggressive dog down in the creek, and I wasn't going back out there until in the morning to get my stuff.
No shit. Wow. So you hit this thing with a light, so you got a real good look at it.
Yep.
And it matched up with the baboon look?
Yeah, its head was straight up like, if you Google like what a mandrill or a baboon looks like,
yeah,
and you just put it into Photoshop and stretched it all 4 ways and made it bigger.
Okay.
The big canines, big long snout coming out, big flared nose. But the thing that was weird about it was that baboons and stuff have like those big manes that come down their shoulders and their head.
Yeah.
So that looked even bigger, but like back where its ears were,
yeah,
the hair and stuff swept up with the ears, and the ears were more pointy than what you see with the regular baboon.
Okay.
So it really made it look like it had big, pointier ears, which is everything that everyone talks about when they're talking about Dogman stuff. It's like, oh, it's got big, pointy ears and a canine snout and stuff. But the thing is that's why Dogman's always been so hard for me. There's never been a damn canine that's ever evolved or been in the fossil record ever.
Yeah.
That walked on its hind legs.
Well, that's true, yeah.
For any amount of time. Or could stand up on its hind legs for any, like, extended period of time. Or let alone had hands.
Okay. I mean, I got a bunch of pictures of baboons pulled up right now that I'm looking at, and yeah, I mean, I can see it. I can see what you mean. And I know we've talked about this on the show before, where it's like, well, maybe it's something of a baboon type of species. You know what I mean? Because I don't know if you've listened to us, and I've definitely had my personal part in bad mouthing the dog man topic a little bit, just because it's hard to get any kind of like concrete anything on it, and it's like you said, there's no fossil anything in regards to in regards to a canine that walked upright. But the baboon, I mean, that's something completely different. It's aggressive. It can walk upright when it wants to, when it needs to.
And they're not that scared of humans. Yeah. Even the natural ones. They've been known to like steal babies and stuff out of cribs in Africa, things like that.
Yeah.
And you said that you've encountered multiple of them. So, and I'm pretty sure like baboons they're pack oriented, ain't they?
Yeah, they live in tribes, basically, for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
So, like, I can see the similarities in that, and like we were saying, like, this seems more plausible as a baboon-like creature than the dog man. Like you guys were just saying, is I can't picture an actual humanoid like wolf. Like, it's too. Like, we have blueprints to say that these things could like have existed back like long time ago. So there's like a slim chance that it could be like still like something, a precursor from their like ancestors or something. It's a evolved version of them. So I kind of can get behind this. Like, this could be like the sighting of like Dogman, like the reason why people say that it looks like a dog, especially like you were saying with the ears being very pointy and how it like kind of goes with the mane. Like I can see it, like especially some sightings, like I've seen some pictures where they drew it and I could tell, like, yeah, it looks terrifying. It looks like a dog. I would say that's a werewolf if I saw it.
Yeah. It's interesting,
Yeah,
but there's so many people that have encountered it.
Yeah,
and the one thing that gets me is that, like, wild baboons they make no, there's no problem if they're feeling the mood. I mean, they'll straight up just jump on a person. They're not afraid.
Yeah,
so that's what I'm curious about is if these things are out there in troops, hidden in these little groups or whatever, well, I mean, right there alone is, I mean, they'll straight up grab a person.
And
yeah,
and you did say that these were not your average size. Like a baboon, I think they said that they're more like 3 to 4 feet tall.
They're like knee height. They're like knee, mid-thigh.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but what you saw was a lot taller, right?
Yeah. From where I was, I would say it was on all fours. If it was standing right next to me, it would be looking like right at the center of my stomach, right at my navel, my belly button, and I'm standing 5'11", so I'm almost 6 foot.
So almost like the size of like a lion, maybe a bearish. Like,
yeah, I'd say like 4.5, 5 foot.
Okay.
On all fours. 4.5 is probably safer. I think I'm blowing it up just because of memory. But it could be closer to 5 with the mane. Because the hair really stuck up on the back from what I remember. There's a big hump on the back.
Wow.
Of just black hair.
No kidding. So do you think that this could have anything to do with Sasquatch reports?
I think if someone, like, I know in my head, it gave me nightmares and stuff, just like what I saw. And obviously, like, I was scared enough in that moment that if it had kept coming at me, I would have shot, and then I would have to go to, like, my boss and explain lighting a gun off on the job when I'm not even supposed to be carrying a firearm.
Yeah.
So, like, it definitely put me in fear of my life in that minute. And I think, given the right set of circumstances and tight brush, yeah, I think just as easily as people could think these things are dogs, or dog men, I think you could think it was a Sasquatch, because it's got a big mane and stuff like that. Like it's hard to explain. Like the hair really puffs off.
Yeah, it's more intimidating. It makes it look bigger. I know a lot of animals do that to puff up to make them look bigger than they are, even if they are big. I had a random question. Like, when you first saw it, like you said your first encounter when you were young, it didn't really startle you. You were just like, you thought it was just another animal out there. But did you what did you think it was? Like, did you ever think it was like a bear or something? Like a small, like a smaller bear, not like a big bear, but
it's hard for me to say. I think when I saw that it had a tail, a big long tail, come off the back, that kind of killed the bear thing for me. I think my brain went from like a dog with mange or like a hurt dog, because it wasn't running in like the right shape for a dog to run. You know what I mean? Like, you're used to seeing dogs, how their legs move and their back moves when they run, versus this. So I honestly thought it was like a sick or a hurt dog when it first broke out of the trees. And then when it got to about even with me, it just looked like a baboon.
Yeah. The only reason why I asked, because I don't know if you've you listen to a lot of our episodes. I have said that I've seen something in the woods behind my parents' house. So, and it looked like a bear to me, but I was like, I couldn't tell if it was or what wasn't. So I never saw it like the back end of it, and never saw a tail or anything. But I remember the snout, like the elongated snout. It had black fur. It did it looked to me like a bear. So I was just wondering, because I wanted to see if I can corroborate my story with yours.
Yeah, I mean, the fur, like, it depends if you thought you saw like a black bear or a brown bear. Because what I saw had black fur all around the head, all down the shoulders, onto the back, and then the belly was like a tanner color. It was like tannish on the belly, so it really does have like a mane look.
Okay, yeah.
And then a long snout and stuff, but the fur either gets really thin or goes away on the muzzle, because the face and stuff was more like a gray color.
Okay.
Like a charcoal grayish color.
Okay, man.
Yeah.
It's pretty wild.
Yeah.
So close. I mean, so close to home too. That's the interesting part.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And then the third time I saw a group of them was over at my buddy's property in Adams County.
Well, how did that? What happened on that one? Can you take us through it?
Yeah. So, I mean, I'll just go out there for like the weekends and stuff, because he bought just some property up for fun. It's 12 acres wedged between a couple farms.
Yeah.
So there's nobody out there really. So like, we can drive side by side, just shoot guns all weekend, and no one's out there to complain or call the police. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get you.
So it's just kind of been like our fun spot, and it's got a couple barns and stuff on it. And we were just out there walking around in the woods at night, you know, just for something to do. We both had guns at the time, and his at the time fiance had her concealed carry gun with her, and we were both carrying rifles and our handguns. And we were just out walking in the woods. We weren't looking to kill anything or hunt anything or anything like that. We just, when we're out on the property, we usually have firearms with us.
Yeah.
And we were out in the wood line, and there's a section of his property that's all grown up with like cane and tall grass. And all the tall grass and stuff is probably about middle of the chest height, and the cane's even higher, out towards one corner of his property heading towards another farm. And we came around and cut through this cane, and there's this one path that goes around the outside of it. As we were coming around the other side, all hell breaks loose in this cane. Like, just boom, this noise. It just sounds like there's a freaking full-grown grizzly bear in the middle of this cane that we just woke up.
Okay.
And we hear the crashing through the cane, and then it all comes out the other side. Now, the cane and the tall grass is really thick, but it doesn't go on for forever. It's probably 10, 11 yards of it. And me and him, like, looked at each other and ran forward, trying to get to the end of it so we could see what came out of it. And we lit it up with our flashlights on our rifles. And there's like 4 or 5 of these black things just rolling. And we light them up with the lights, and like, it's just what they were. I mean,
they were just out there.
Yeah, they were just there. I think.
Wow.
I don't know what I think about the whole Bigfoot mystery thing. How something that big hides and avoids us. But I think these things eat, sleep, and socialize like any other really smart primate. Because I think they were down in that tall grass and cane just like deer do.
Yeah.
They find a place where they can bed. And I think they were bedded down out there. And we got too close for comfort, and we jumped them.
Wow.
And they blew out of there.
Okay.
And I think these things are fast as hell. Because, I mean, again, we had lights on our rifles, and they weren't anything special. They were just cheap lights we put on the rifles.
Yeah.
So they weren't like throwing super far, but they were out of that light in a couple seconds.
Okay.
And there was like 4 or 5 of them.
All right, everybody, I'm going to cut this one in half right about here. Make sure you tune in Thursday morning for the rest of this interview. It's pretty awesome. And like always, take care of each other out there. We'll see you then.
Don't you rise, don't you rise. Preacher man say I ain't gonna bury you twice. Fell in love with an Irish girl. Till the day he left this world. Something in what they had, something that brought him back. Grave men say, don't you rise, don't you rise. Preacher man say, I ain't gonna bury you twice. Grave men say, don't you rise, don't you rise. Preacher man